Well, hello. Every gal needs a cowboy hat.
Scanning the room, you look for a familiar face. Everyone is a stranger. Your heart's racing, you feel nauseous. New plan. You meet 4 new people. Okay, 3, 2, you can handle 2. And then you think, I hate this. This just feels so fake. And before you talk to even 1 new person, you're looking for the nearest exit.
Okay. Crazy. Yo, who invited this chick?
My heart races when I walk into a room full of strangers too. Except it's not anxiety, it's excitement. I'm not thinking networking quota. I'm thinking, look at all these stories. And I get so pumped about talking to people that I don't know.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Well, hello and happy Wednesday. Here we are with Show Up with me, GailNow. My name is Gail Robertson and I am Chief Curiosity Officer with GailNow. I help manufacturers both tell and share their story using a simple 3-step process. Sign up, suit up, and show up, because that's where the magic happens. Often people in manufacturing in particular find it difficult not only to share their story, but even to tell them, because they have these great stories, but they often don't realize how great those stories are. As a recovering journalist, I help pull some of those stories out and then work on a strategy of how best to set yourself up for success in this great digital world. And today I'm very excited about this show because while we are in LinkedIn, and I love LinkedIn, what I found about social media is that each platform has something very special about it. And it really depends on what your goals are. And to quote a previous guest and friend of mine, David Chrysler, known as the king of process, he said, you have to first define success. What is success? And each platform can bring about success once you know that answer. And today we're going to be learning about Twitter. Okay. Anybody that knows me knows that Twitter is like one of my favorite platforms. It was what really launched me into social media. And I connected with people, amazing people that have also moved over to LinkedIn. So today we're going to hear from someone that's going to talk about that, about how to use, not only how to use Twitter, but the why behind it and how it could also be used in manufacturing. So I want to bring on stage, ta-da. Oh, and this guest is all the way, and when you hear accent, she's all the way from Ireland. Samantha Kelly is in the house. Hello, Samantha. Welcome from, it's good afternoon here in Canada. I guess it's late afternoon in Ireland.
It's just 6 p.m. here, the evening. Thank you so much for having me. And hi, everybody. This is really fun. I love your little intro thing there. That's so cool.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that is a fun video. And my son put that together and I kind of left it. There's lots of change I could make to it, but it symbolized a lot about my personality and having fun. And, my son often, used to sometimes tease me about various things from GailNow, from my brand, to when I, tell that story about networking. So, but I always find when people tease you too, it usually means, hey, but you remembered that. So that's pretty good. Exactly. Now we have I do want to do a shout out to everybody that's listening today. Please drop in the comments where you're from, so Samantha knows you're here. If we have anybody from Ireland, please stop by. And I just want to say this. If not for the pandemic, to a great extent, I probably wouldn't have, expanded and done this show. But I think, Samantha, we were talking even pre-pandemic. So we connected on Twitter. And what's really amazing about what we're going to be talking about today is Twitter and, the international aspect to it and how you can connect with people so easily because you're really learning about someone. It's not just photocentric like Instagram, but it's not like as business as LinkedIn, and it kind of has its own special place. Let's start first with, I think what's really important is, where you are now is obviously important, but I find your story fascinating about where you came from because you initially started at the small business, and I believe it was in gift box. So maybe you can talk about where you came from and how you got into Twitter, and then maybe I'll share my Twitter story because every person that tweets has, I think, a story about how they got
Oh, look, we all have a story.
We all have
a story. And I can see Whitney and Ingor has actually dropped in. Good luck today, Ingor. Yeah, I mean, look, it's like this, right? Hi, Russ. Yeah, Twitter is. I had no idea what I was doing when I started my business. I was a lone parent on social welfare. My father had just passed away. There were lots of things lined up for me to do something, but I didn't know what I was good at. You know, the way you just can't remember what you were good at. I couldn't remember what I was good at. I knew I was good with sales and good with people. But I wasn't really sure what talents I had. I lost a lot of confidence. And the gift box was actually a first period gift box for girls. When they got their first period, their mom or their dad or whatever could give them this gift and welcome them to womanhood. And it was just less icky for the child. And that's where I started. And my sister put me on Twitter and she said, oh, you need to market your business here. And I was like, what is Twitter? Like, I'd heard of it, but I barely had a Facebook page. I mean, honestly. So I just started using Twitter, to be honest, when the kids went to bed. I have 2 girls, and when they went to bed, I was lonely. And I started just using Twitter and finding people that, I was fans of, like people in business. I wanted to learn. I really had that appetite to learn as much as I could. And that's kind of where my journey started. I sold that startup since, but I remember a lot of people saying to me, I was on TV because the topic, like periods, was such a taboo. Sorry to the guys in the audience there, but it was such a taboo that it got me a lot of media attention. So I ended up on TV. I ended up on a thing called Dragon's Den, which is like Shark Tank. And that's when I saw the power of Twitter, because when I was going on the show, like I needed investment. I had no money, and I had no savings. I was a lone parent on social welfare. And so when I went, I was getting my makeup done by the makeup girl, and she had her big light there, and a butterfly landed on the makeup girl's light. And she was like, oh, why is there a butterfly here in January? And I said, well, that's my dad, And when I went up the stairs, Nora Casey, one of the dragons, she said, you've had a tough year, haven't you? And when someone goes, you've had a tough year, haven't you? Are you okay? I start crying. So I'm the girl who cried on Dragon's Den. So that was when I saw the power of Twitter. And that's when I saw the power of, I thought people would think I was an idiot, like, oh my God, look at this businesswoman. She just fell to pieces. But no. Lots of people went, oh my God, this is just brilliant. She tried to keep going. They could see the courage. They could see the bravery. They could see the loss and the loads of empathy. I saw on Twitter, and people don't talk about that. People talk about the negative side of Twitter. There's a huge fear around Twitter, but that's really where my journey started. And that's when Twitter really exploded for me. And that's when I realized, hang on, there are good people here. And if you can give hope, if you can inspire, and if you can share knowledge and help people to learn, you will do so well on Twitter. And Twitter is actually, I always call it LinkedIn's living room.
I love that. LinkedIn's living room. And I want to just say, just for clarity too, is that this was how long? When you had this gift box, like, because you're not doing that now, right? You're not. No. So that's kind of the starting point of how you get into social media. So before we go into that, I just wanted to get that sort of foundation story, because that's often how, you need to get on any social media platform, is just dive in. Yeah. We were talking about that before the show, how I got into TikTok even, right? And for me, Twitter was how I really got started. Was I was going to an event, a show down in the States when I was with a previous company. And I thought, oh, I should probably, Twitter, our company was using it. So I had my own, and I did GailNow. I had to pick a name quickly. So I went down there, and there was you could get the people that did the most tweets and tags and everything on Twitter could get it. They were going to pick one person that would win this Apple Watch. And I'm like, oh, game on. I want that Apple Watch. So I just set about and
typical redhead.
I know. I stumbled over things. I was asking a friend back in, okay, what happened? I did this. He goes, oh, you should do this. So I had made so many mistakes, but guess what? No one cared. I mean, it was, and this is what I find overall with social media, especially because we have some people in the audience too, from manufacturing, people that I work with that sometimes hold back from just diving in, even though in person and when they're at, at a trade show, they'll talk to people about these things, but they stop short of doing it on social media. And we talked about this too. We're not going back. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Social media, digital marketing, the internet's not a fad. It is here. So here we go. Let's go to the studio audience. And I know you've called out a couple people. I just want to make sure we welcome them here on the show, on the screen. So we have now Whitney. Hello. Whitney is someone that I've just connected with. We haven't yet spoken directly, but she is amazing. She shows up at so much shows. She's doing some great work. Whitney, way to go. Thank you for again showing up.
Whitney.
Inger, yes, dropping in between grad week events. Inger's had a very tough week, very busy, but you two have to connect about Inger works in the area of period poverty as well. So this idea of the gift box, that's phenomenal. There's a reason I think you brought that up and that I didn't know when I was doing some research, I think what the gift box were. So that sounds like a phenomenal idea. And imagine if, internationally we could get girls and give them this gift box. And because we don't see it in this world, in this.
Look, anything like that, even though I'm not involved in that business anymore, I'm very passionate about anything we can do to give younger women a piece of the pie.
Yes.
In all areas.
Yes.
And so yes, I'm totally going to connect. And this is why these things are so important, what we're doing here now.
Yeah. And the other thing about that, and we won't stay too long, and I'm sorry, yes, for the men, but you know what? You have daughters and wives, and this is all a big issue. But
sorry, guys.
I do know that in some countries, girls can't go to school because when they have their periods. So that's a big eye opener for us that we don't think about that have. So, well, that's great. And then we have, Russ is here. Good morning. Yes, because it's 3 hours. He's 3 hours earlier than me. So he's on the West Coast. Hi, welcome. Russ is another machine. He is, another machine on social media. He is everywhere. He's on like the live show. He's the king of live shows, I think, right now. He does so many. And we have, Whitney's turning in from Sugar Land, Texas. Oh, what a cool place to be from. Sugar Land. Where are you from? Sugar Land. I love that name. Did not know that, Whitney. And then, Deb Coleman. Okay. Excited to be here with all of you. Deb Coleman has a Twitter chat called Social Trust. So please,
hi, Deb.
Drop in that hashtag because we need everybody to jump on that one. We've got lots. So what happens, Samantha, is we have a lot of networking in the comments. So I don't read all because people are, saying hello to each other. And this is what I love when people are commenting. But we do have, Deb is tuning in from Syracuse, New York. Yay. And we have, John Buglino. John is an amazing marketer in the world of manufacturing. Welcome. Now this looks like someone you may know. Monica Jackman.
Yes, and Monica just started on Twitter and she's doing so well. She just joined my Women's Inspire network and she's really getting out there. She's joining Twitter Spaces. She's brilliant.
Welcome, Imana. And here you are LinkedIn on your LinkedIn live show too. So
well done,
right. Your vulnerability related won them over, I'm sure. Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
And now Deb's dropping some good gems here. LinkedIn living room. Brilliant. Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you for dropping that in. I wanted to have that up on the screen. So instead of a banner, that is Twitter is LinkedIn's living room. Love it.
It is. Yeah.
Jim.
I know. I saw Jim coming in. Yay.
Jim, we were talking about you ahead of time too, because these are all people, a lot of the people I now know and I'm connected with well, even on LinkedIn, I started on Twitter. That's where I met Jim, Deb Coleman, amazing. I've known Deb. We've been following each other on Twitter. She's been on my show, where we talked about social trust. And that when you get to know people, that's where the trust comes in. And the best place to learn about people, we've talked about this, you can learn so much about following someone's Twitter feed because people tend to be a little freer. Like I know I post because it's quick, boom, do a photo. And, you know, I get teased about my selfies, but sometimes I show up at events and people want to be in selfies with me. So it's kind of funny.
Oh,
to
look,
you.
myself and Jim met at Social Media Marketing World. He put up a video. Hiya, Jim. It's lovely to see you. He put up a video on Twitter. I was checking out the hashtag before I traveled. And this is a really good tip that people can take away today. If you see an event happening and you see a hashtag for that event, go and see who's going to the event before you even land. Before I even landed in the States, I engaged with the video that he'd sent on Twitter. And then guess what? When I got to Social Media Marketing World, I saw Jim and his fiance at the time, and I knew people straight away. So it was lovely.
We're going to talk about that, using hashtags on Twitter too, and how to follow people prior to an event, how to do that. So we'll come back. We'll just go through.
Yeah. So
we have Katie. Now, she is also a manufacturer. She is so fun. And she's known as the hype gal in manufacturing because she is, well, I also know we just did a duet on TikTok and she's jumping in. I love that when I see people just diving into things.
Yes, Katie, love to see
and
you.
then, so Whitney, we are going to get to that. We're going to hear more. Oh, she's talking to Deb more about your Twitter chat. We'll definitely be talking about Twitter chat and Twitter spaces. So Whitney, stay tuned because I think you would really love it, Whitney. And we have Deb said, thank you for your generous shout out to share my chat. Would love to invite friends to join us for Social Trust Mondays, 3 p.m. There we go. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitter. We've got, lots of chatter going on here. Let's see. I'm just making sure. John, Whitney. And then Katie. So another Twitter chat is the USA Manufacturing Hour, which is really a special group that meets Thursday at 2 p.m. And it's all people, and it's a mix of people from manufacturing, even though it's USA and I'm Canadian, they've welcomed me. We have people from across the pond, as they say, involved as well. So they're very open to welcoming other people into the USA.
Well, look, Twitter is global. And, you know, I know Anna Scheller is mentioned there in the comments. Actually, Anna Scheller, she would have been one of my clients a long time ago. And she actually does USA Biz Party as well. So
yes,
there's all kinds of stuff going on. It's great.
And here's Deb coming to my rescue. She says, no one better tease you about your selfies. You're wonderful at hashtag. Yeah, exactly. I embrace it now. You know what? I figure when people tease me about anything, it's like, okay, you must love it then. So yes, it's a fun world. And I've, selfies have helped me meet amazing people as well. Because I'll go right up at an event, get a photo, and then I tag them, and that's how I stay connected. So
I do the same thing, the exact same thing. So that is a really good tip. So if you're at an event, what I do actually from the stage is I say, you see the person next to you, find out what their Twitter handle is, and then I want you to do a selfie with the person and use the hashtag, because then they're connecting, but also I can find them later on during the hashtag.
So hashtags, we'll touch upon that. I also want to, get to some of we've talked a little bit. I think let's just clearly say Twitter has opportunity for great success if you want to engage with people, connect with people, sit in a living room with people on social media. And now let's get to a little bit of the how-tos and some tips, because some of the people tuning in are more from LinkedIn and maybe would want to know okay, how do I start? And we each gave our story. And I think the best place to start is, just dive in. And with the caveat that some of the people that may be tuning in today, because I've often said, if you start anywhere, start on LinkedIn just as a base. What I can say, what I know about Twitter, and I'd like to talk about this, is that I find it's great for people that are leaders in the area. So you're going to find people who are, especially media. And I know you have a great tip about media. And also it's great for, from a political perspective, a lot of politicians are there. So if you're doing any advocacy work, it's great. And then if you're going to trade shows, you want to be sometimes connecting on Twitter. So that's a bit of background about manufacturing. And over to you, Samantha, maybe to talk about, well, here's something that, Deb, thank you for dropping these tips. It saves me typing everything in to post. But Twitter tip, search the event hashtag ahead of time and make connections with others attending. Okay, this is likely the best. And you can do it on LinkedIn as well, but people often wonder how to use hashtags. This is a great example of how to use hashtags so that you, and then you should make sure if you're at an event that you use that hashtag.
Yeah.
So let's talk about maybe let's talk about how to get started on Twitter. If someone's listening right now, maybe they're or they're maybe new on it and want to know how to. Is there any tips you'd give out of the gate?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, first of all, you need to figure out, are your audience there? Because there's no point in being on Twitter if nobody's going to want you there. Okay, so if you are an expert in your niche, which you mentioned, if you're a leader in your space, it's a great way to show your leadership and to show that you share your knowledge and show you are the expert in your niche. Because the amount of people who will tag you, you know, and say, oh, you need to talk to Tweeting Goddess, she's a Twitter expert or whatever, and you know, and then there's Madeline Scalar as well. But you know, once you show and establish that you are the expert in your niche. So who do I need to talk to? People on Twitter will recommend you and they'll just tag you. Okay. There's no silly long introduction emails. You just tag them and say, oh, you need to talk to Samantha. You need to talk to Gail. You need to talk to Deb. You know, so that's the great thing about Twitter. So first of all, make sure you have a really good headshot. And that's my biggest tip, because you'd be surprised when I got that headshot that I have at the moment, you know, with my hand under my chin. I went and I got John Murray, photographer, to take that picture. And I said to him, I said, look, I want to look like I know my stuff, but I'm approachable at the same time. And I want to show, like you, I'm a little bit of a messer, show that little mischievous glint in my eye. And I think if you look at my headshot, you will see he totally got that across. So I wanted to be approachable so that women could reach out to me in particular. And, you know, for any help I could give them and stuff like that, because I'm passionate about that as well. We can talk about that later. But a great headshot makes such a difference. And I noticed when I had that headshot that I did start getting taken more seriously. It's so bizarre. So just be aware, a great headshot can be so cool. But also if you want to speak at events and stuff, a great headshot, they're always going to ask for a headshot. And the media is always going to ask for a really good photo as well. So yes, it's always good to have. Okay, number 2, your bio. Make your bio stand out. Don't forget there are thousands and thousands, millions of people on Twitter. How are you going to stand out? If I look at your bio and I click on, there's Natalie Gregg, for example. I love Natalie. She's one of my Women's Inspire Network members as well. And she runs that brilliant Lead Loudly chat. So Natalie, like if I click on Natalie and I read her bio, I'm going to decide in a split second whether I'm going to follow her or not. And so make sure you put your stamp of authority, then your personality, 3 things that make you stand out from everybody else, and make sure it's interesting, compelling, you're approachable, and put a bit of human in there. Like put a little bit of human, like something about your back. Like I'm 14 years sober, for example. Now, not everybody gets to do this, but I always say friend of Bill W. That's what it's kind of code for people in recovery, right? So that's why I have that in my bio. But I also have nice people collector, which shows my personality. So get your personality and everything about you that makes you stand out, like Twitter expert, WIN project program director for Women's Inspire Network. You know, get things in there that make you stand out and get your stamp of authority. It's not a CV. It's not LinkedIn. Right. Okay. It's not LinkedIn. This is to get people to click follow. And once they click follow, they are your own army of marketeers and brand advocates. So get as many followers as you can, but get the right ones as well. So how do you attract the right followers? First of all, start here today. Follow David if he's on Twitter. Follow Katie. Follow Natalie. Follow Gail. You know, start today. Follow people who you already engage with, people who already know your name, have seen your name. When you're at an event, follow some of the people who are tweeting at the event. Start that way, and then it'll filter out and it'll trickle out. Because if you start putting up good things, like things of value, share your knowledge. Like, I don't know anything about manufacturing, but if you started sharing tips on manufacturing, I would retweet that. And I have 66,000 followers because I'm like, okay, I want to learn about this. And some of my followers might like it. So just start at the start. Great headshot, great bio, great header photo as well. That's the top part, and fill in your bio as much as possible to make it attractive for people to follow you.
That is so good. And you know what? I'm going to go back and look at my bio because I've adjusted it a couple of times. That's the thing. I've adjusted the same thing with LinkedIn. And I think that's a really good tip, Samantha, that it's not your LinkedIn. And and often what I see this often happens in social media, they'll post the same thing on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and then they try to take that to TikTok. And
yeah,
it just does not work. Every platform performs differently in terms of the content. So same thing with
different
your bio,
audiences, like
different
different, like,
audience.
yeah, like maybe your audience isn't on Twitter, but if you want to get in front of journalists, people, small business owners, women in business, authors, there's all kinds of communities on Twitter. And the age demographic would be age 35 to 55. And the highest growing demographic are the over 55s. My mom is 73, if she's 72, 73, and she's on Twitter. So don't forget, there are a lot of lonely people out there as well. During the pandemic, they went to Twitter to find out the latest COVID figures. I went to Twitter every day to find out the latest COVID figures. So just be aware that there are a lot of lonely people out there that might feel isolated, that want to find their people, and they're on Twitter looking for their people. So you could be their people, you know.
Right.
So it's just so important. Yes. Sorry.
And I do want to say this too about how Twitter, it is like that web of connections. And I've talked about this. I haven't talked about it for a while, but I talk about something called weak ties and strong ties. And strong ties are the people like in your close network. And you think sometimes they're your key people, but actually when it comes to network, it's your weak ties that can actually open more doors, because they are the people, like sometimes you get in your own little circle too much.
Yes.
And this is where Twitter expands. And I want to do a shout out because Natalie Gregg is in the house. Natalie Gregg was a former guest on here too. And Natalie helped open up doors even for me in manufacturing. She connected with some people, even with one company when I was doing some recruiting. So, you know, it's really interesting that, and she has Lead Loudly Twitter chat, which is also amazing, because even though it's about empowerment for women, there are men also that join in, and it's really a community, and it's not like, you know, just like the USA Manufacturing Hour. It's about US manufacturing, but there's spin-offs because in Canada, we do all sorts of business with US companies. So it really, David Chrysler, now I think David, I don't even know how we met. We met through, I'm trying to think now whether it was a LinkedIn, it was a networking group, but now I think it was non-Twitter, but now he's come over to Twitter and he's a tweeting machine now too. Like he just rocks it. So I share these stories too for people listening, just to say that, you know, there's so many opportunities in manufacturing to, you know, get your house in order with LinkedIn, but then Twitter can be another great place to do some, and, you know, do it like what I do on TikTok. Just dive in and give it a shot.
Well, actually, a really good tip I can give, well, just so you know, right? If there are decision makers on Twitter, but they don't necessarily have what their position is on their bio. One
Right.
gentleman that I really, really connected with, he has a poet and lover of Ireland. Like, I didn't know what his position was. We ended up connecting, ended up having conversations. Next thing, he ends up at my event. He ends up helping me get sponsorship for my social media conference in 2016. There are lots of decision makers that go to Twitter to get the latest news. They are on Twitter because they want to watch. They're lurking. They're watching. Trust me, I promise you, they are watching. I get messages all the time, DMs saying, well done, I really like that. I really like that. And I'm like, why didn't they comment? Why didn't they retweet it? But like, they're watching all the time. So just be aware. You just never know who's watching. And that's why I never bitch about anyone on Twitter. I never get involved in controversy. I always keep it positive, keep it useful, value, and I love connecting people. I connect the dots, you know, and that is so powerful. And people see you doing it. Because someone said to me the other day, oh, I always see you doing all those connections. I'm like, really? I didn't even realize they were watching, you know, so just be aware of that. Yeah.
That is great. That, and a testament to, you know, how wide that net can be cast. Now, I see lots of, let's go over to the studio audience, because
I can see they're typing away there.
They're just flowing in today. So I want to go back a bit and see, make sure I've got, so we had,
don't forget about the lurkers, Whitney.
The lurkers,
so
and people that, let's see, we have
like people go to Twitter to be entertained, to learn, and to get the latest news as it happens. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes. And Natalie Gregg, I mean, here is the queen of leadership, she's just, I cannot say enough good about Natalie. Natalie's one of those people you meet in life that you just go like, my heart, my soul.
Yeah, I love her.
She's amazing at, you know,
She's
What she
doing a
does.
webinar for my Women's Inspire Network. Actually, we do weekly webinars, and it's all about the power of what is it called? The power of, I was actually doing her headshot, the power of the fearless ask. Yes.
Yes. And she does it in such a way. She's so smooth. She just can.
Oh, yeah.
She has strength. She's that. I once heard a saying of her, and I think that's Natalie. Strong like a mountain, she flows like a river. That's how I would describe her. She's that person. And we have, I think I need to focus on Twitter a bit more. I love LinkedIn for building relationships and nurturing them. Twitter outside of the US, I don't even go there. Oh, Katie, yes, we need to get you over there. But now you're dabbling in TikTok. So we'll have a talk. And, Katie, just what's good about TikTok or Twitter, just start posting some other things that you're doing. And I mean,
it depends who she wants to connect with. Katie, if you want to meet other women in business, there are thousands of them there, wonderful women that are actually dropping gems all the time, like Natalie, Greg, and Gail and me. And if you want to be inspired, if you want to learn, Twitter is where you need to be. Like, if it depends on what kind of people you want to connect with, Katie.
Yes.
If you want to expand your network, definitely. If you want to meet other decision makers, if you want to see what events are happening, see what's happening in the world, Twitter is amazing for that.
And for someone like Katie, it could show her personality. She has a great personality. She's got lots of humor. See, I would recommend, Katie, that you just get out there and show more of who you are, that humor, because
behind the scenes as well. Yeah.
Behind the scenes stuff is good. Like I often post about my cycling group. That's fun too. Okay. Oh, and here we have David Chrysler, who is here. He's the king of process. I've given him that title. So, because I said he would never have self-proclaimed, but we're all just now going to start calling him that, because he was recently on and there was so much information, because process is also important, right? We know that, Samantha, when it comes to planning our social media. So we have, So,
and sometimes though people think too much. Sorry.
Yes. No.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's talk
with Twitter. When it comes to Twitter, I mean, sorry.
Yes. I would say that is a really good point. Don't overthink. And David has even talked about that, about process, but not so much that process stops you from getting stuff done. So that's what I love about what David does, is he's not that everything has to be perfect before you launch. You just have to start.
Yes, that's brilliant. And I totally believe in that. And I just think, get it done, show up, suit up. Like, what did you say? Sign up, suit up, and show up.
Show up, yeah.
No one's going to know who you are. No one's going to know what you know. No one's going to know how they can help you unless you show up.
Love it. Thank you for the sign up, suit up, and show up.
I wrote it down.
Sorry, what was that? I missed it.
Overthinkers unite, Kate.
Yes. So we have Whitney saying, I don't spend much time there other when I started with because no one was engaging back with you.
Okay.
Yes. And I would say there's a difference. Let's talk about this, the difference between a company account and your personal account. So if you want to maybe talk about that.
Well, actually, do you know what? I'll give you an example, right? There's a mobile phone company called Tree Mobile, and I am a customer. And my daughter loves Justin Bieber, loves him. That's why she was going to Canada, by the way. So because of him. But anyway, she loves Justin Bieber. She wanted to get tickets. She was a teenager at the time. She was like, come on, Mom, get the tickets. And Tree Mobile had this special thing where it was an early bird. You could get in there before everybody else. So I was here on the laptop, all stressed, waiting to get the ticket. And she was like in my face. And I was like, so I tweeted to Tree Mobile. And I said, look, I can't seem to see the link to get the tickets. It's not working. And she replied back to me and she said, this is Tree Mobile Twitter account. Replied back to me and said, it's actually tomorrow. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And do you know what she said in her tweet? Is it too late for me to say sorry? So she quoted Justin Bieber's song and put little musical notes and stuff. And I was like, oh, brilliant. So she showed that company had a personality. They had a quick, she came back to me. Her name was Rachel because she signed it Rachel. And since then, how many years later is that? That is like nearly 8 years later. I am still talking about that tweet and that response that she gave me, because companies can have a personality. You can have a certain personality. You can be helpful. You can respond to people and have fun and, joke and stuff like that. So you can have a personality as a company. You just decide what that personality is going to be. You can decide that the company has some kind of dog or mascot or something. There's all kinds of things you can do. So I just wanted to tell that story because it really hit me how they responded. And guess what? When I had my social media conference, They bought 6 tickets and I pointed her out in the audience. She stood up and everybody met her. So, I actually got to meet the lady who did that tweet,
And
so that's lovely.
I just want to say you are definitely the collector. What is it? The collector of
Nice people collector.
nice people. Because let me tell this quick story too, is that we met actually pre-pandemic as well. I was looking, a friend of mine, we were thinking about going to Ireland. And I knew you were in Ireland. And I reached out to you and you were said, oh, where are you going to be? Let's meet up. You were even going to come pick me up. I remember that. I was like, what?
I have done that before. I have done it.
I think at that point, maybe I was going, I can't remember if I was going on my own or with my friend, but anyways, you said, oh, but see, we'd already been following each other on LinkedIn or on Twitter. So we knew each other, but that stood out over all these years. I still remember, Samantha, that you were going to pick me up. And you gave me lots of great tips about going to Ireland, and because I was going to change my trip of where to go. And so that's the other thing. You meet amazing people with. So.
Yeah, and I remember Jim was going to come over as well with his wife before the pandemic. And I know a lady, Alicia Whelan, actually from Canada, did arrive in Dublin, didn't know anybody. And I did actually meet her. And she ended up coming to our conference because our conference was that week. So she's now a member of Women's Inspire Network because, well, of course, she was going to join after me doing that. But still, she met my mom. We went out to dinner. So this is all about, this is why it's so important about your bio. If I looked at your bio and you had, politics, I'm so angry. And, like if you had that in your bio, I'd be like, I'm not going to meet her when she comes over. So that's why the bio is so important. And I would always look at the past 3 tweets someone has done. And I would look through them and I'd say, right. And if I see any negativity there, I won't follow that person back.
Yeah. I sometimes bump up against, not often, but I always say, be curious, not judgmental. So I often ask questions. I often say, maybe there's another, because there's a lot of stuff happening in our world that I question, but it's all about how you do it. Because I always say too, you can disagree without being disagreeable. And I'm a big advocate for curating your list, because you're right. I hear that a lot too. Oh, it's so negative. I go, well, but you can have friends in your life. I just don't have that in my circle. So most of my circle is also positive and uplifting.
It's
I work
real life.
anger.
Yeah, it's like real life, though. Can you imagine if we could block people in real life? It'd be great, wouldn't it? But really, it really does come down to that. And I can see by the comments there are good people here. Hi, Victor.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Gabe. I can see that, and that's something I'm terrible for doing that as a guest. I always look at the comments because I like to see. I know there was one question that did come up, and that was. The times, ignore the times behind Gabe. That's just for show, right?
Okay.
But I did have a question. Oh yeah, if I don't have a headshot, and my tip for if you don't have a headshot is go and get one done. There might be someone starting out that needs a bit of exposure. Go and get one done. Like there are lots of affordable headshots.
Yeah.
Or even get someone who's really good in the camera in your family. There must be somebody, an uncle or cousin or nephew or son or daughter. And even the iPhone can take a really good headshot if you just focus,
set up some lighting, just make sure no pull.
Get the makeup done, get the hair done, go for it. Like.
We're going to go over to the studios because I do want to touch on some of the comments. So make sure we catch up a bit here. So I did want to mention David Chrysler. Did I hear someone mention USA manufacturer? Yes. So we have David, Katie, we have quite a few people here. What's really cool is we have some people here from some Twitter chats that are showing up, which also a lot of this can, again, come over to LinkedIn as well. So, and then we have the reigning king of processes in the house. We love celebrating David.
And I'm on Twitter here just checking, and David has actually done a lovely tweet. Thanks, David. Yeah.
So Katie said, thanks for all those tips, man. I am taking notes. Yeah, Katie will be taking notes. Believe me, she is a note taker. She's amazing. We have Deb also. And the other thing is, thank you, Deb, for dropping some of these gems here. Make your bio stand out so we can decide to follow you. Stamp of authority, personality. This is so key. We all need to go back and look at our bios. If that could be assignment, as soon as you get off this show today, go and update your bio. Because remember, it's not cast in stone. It's not printed. You can change it. So test it out and even ask people, what do you think of my new bio? And, dive in and add some interesting things. I might even go change mine.
Yeah.
James Kunkel, another out of the manufacturing world. So this is great. Thank you, James, for stopping by. I really love when I see, especially some of the people from manufacturing dropping in, because we have quite a few people outside manufacturing, but we can all learn from each other. So, and then we have, start today. That's the best time. Now I think you must have said, she says, you promise I can share tons of cool stuff in manufacturing. I think you said something earlier about supporting. So believe me, I'm sure Samantha will tweet something out. Have a great header, make it attractive. Yes. We have a promo for USA Manufacturing Hour. What if you, okay, so she asked, what if you don't have a professional headshot? Katie, we could talk about that. We'll get you set up. You can either find someone or, you can do something with your phone too, as Samantha said. So
there's actually a great lady on Twitter that I can connect you with. I met her on Clubhouse, actually. I will connect you later if you just DM me and remind me. But she actually did a Clubhouse room recently about how to do your own shot at home.
Oh, so there you go. Yeah. We have, thank you for the shout out.
It is worth investing in, though. Honestly, it really is. Like, it's about 200, maybe not even $200, I'd say.
I agree. I think it's something definitely worth investing.
You use it again and again and again, and you can use it on your speaker profile. You can use it on your whatever it is you decide to do. And if the media ever contacts you and quotes you in something, they will always ask for a headshot, and your phone one won't be good enough. So go for it. Get the headshot.
Here's a tip I use that I think it was Madeline Sklar recommended this to me, is that, and Madeline Sklar is another Twitter. She has Twitter Smarter, hashtag Twitter Smarter, another great chat. She said actually to make sure my photo was the same on each platform, because I had different ones, but it's true. When you look at that little square, so now I like when people, I know their photos. So make yourself easy to find. So Twitter expands, even that was where we were talking about weak ties. And and then we have Julie. Now she's responding back to Katie about, she was asking, going to be in the area. So this is what I love. See, people are actually now starting to try to connect in real life as well.
Lovely.
That is great. There we go. Thank you, Deb. Be curious, not judgmental. Not actually my quote. This actually is a Walt Whitman quote that became popular on Ted Lasso, but now I'm using it. Actually, I usually quote Ted Lasso because that's the most fun. Now we have, this must be, now Nathalie said, Victor Lee, thrilled to see you. So this must be, love running the same circles, used, hard to keep up. I don't know who that's a LinkedIn user. So, look who's here too is, hello. How can someone get some sweet GailNow swag? Well, I just got pens, multicolored pens. That's my latest.
I have Women's Inspire Network stickers, car stickers.
There we go.
It's like, it says, I'm chasing my dreams. Dream chasers join Women's Inspire Network.
Okay, we need to talk. Yeah, I will figure out, because my son asked the same thing. Where do we get swag? So I'm thinking of getting some more, I don't know, t-shirts, but because I said, well, who's going to wear my GailNow? Like, I wear it because I'm promoting myself, but my son. Anyways. Yes. Okay. And then he says, my photo's the same. Okay. So we're caught up on all the comments. I got to say, thank you everybody for commenting. It's, it really is helpful for us to see what.
You don't feel so alone.
Yes. Well, I also love to see the back and forth, because I don't put all the comments up, because a lot of it's, connecting and networking. And, for anybody that's new here, come back again, because the different guests I have on, they always bring this, new people, new thoughts, new ideas. Okay. So let me see. I'm going to go back. I sometimes have a few questions here. Let me see. We did talk about, so we talked about showing up on social media, making sure, getting your bio, getting your headshot, invest in a good headshot for sure. It will, and you can also use it you should have it in, and maybe change it up periodically too. Make sure you keep it a little bit updated. There's Twitter chats. We've mentioned Lead Loudly, Twitter Smarter, social chat. So those have been dropped in the comments. I think we should talk about Twitter Spaces, because they were, I was all over Twitter Spaces, like when I first got access. And I must say now, I can't be everywhere, but I've kind of lost touch with the Twitter Space world. But I think I'm going to get back. I need to get back in. I think because Nathalie has nothing great.
Yeah, and we do one every Monday at 1 p.m. My time. So that's 8 a.m. your
Okay.
time,
Yeah.
EST. So we do one every Monday if you want to drop in. It's tea, coffee, networking. That's all. Just tea, coffee,
Nice.
networking. We'd have different
Okay.
topics and stuff. But Twitter Spaces, yeah, it depends. Twitter Spaces is social audio, obviously, if people don't know. But you can start a Twitter Space yourself and host it. But, the topics, there's a lot of NFT stuff happening in there. And, they need good topics. I go into Clubhouse a lot. I'm involved in, I have a Clubhouse room actually tomorrow night at 6 p.m. my time, Irish time, London time. So that's the Women's Inspire Network one again. But I am getting sales and I am getting new members from running these rooms. But it takes time. So it's really important. If you're not good with people and you're not good at spotting people, and like you notice, I was looking at the comments there. If you're not good at that multitasking thing, then maybe it's not for you. But you could join in other Twitter spaces because you will get new Twitter followers. If people see you in the space, your photo will show up and they will go and check out your profile. I find it really good. It depends. Sometimes what I do is if I have a conference or an event, what I do is we go into Twitter spaces afterwards and we chat about it afterwards. So it's another kind of networking space that we can have. So yeah, I love it. But there's so much more that on Twitter that's come out, like the Twitter newsletters.
Yeah.
You have Twitter communities. I'm not sure if it's going to work. I'm watching it. Not everybody has access to it yet, but and then they've launched Twitter, the new Twitter word. What have you seen the new notes? Twitter notes.
No.
I retweeted it. If anyone wants to go to my Twitter, I retweeted it about an hour ago. But it's Twitter Notes where they're going to let you expand using the newsletter feature. So there's all kinds. Twitter is really up in their game. That's what the point I want to make. Like some people say, "Oh, Twitter's dead. What a waste of time." And then next thing, Twitter Spaces comes out, and then the next thing, like Twitter is alive and well. I can tell you that now because I have Twitter lists. Is my biggest tip. Twitter lists. Start using Twitter lists. Start putting people on your Twitter lists and start going into those Twitter lists every day and make someone's day every day. That's what I do. I go into my Twitter list and I see, right, how's Natalie today? I'll give her a retweet for her Lead Loudly chat tonight. How's Gail doing today? I'll add you to a Twitter list. I can have different ones. I have private lists. If I put you on my private list, you will not know that I put you on a Twitter list. If I put you on, I'll do it with David, actually. David, I'm going to put you on a Twitter list right now. And I want you to tell people how you feel when I put you on this Twitter list, okay? So I'm going to put him on a really nice Twitter list, maybe. This is just real time.
David, you're special, David.
Yeah, so I'm going to put David on a Twitter list. Bear with me now. And actually, it's funny, I have photographer Twitter lists. I have loads of Twitter lists if you want to have a look at different people to follow and stuff. Where's David based?
He's in Michigan.
Okay, right. So if I go into Twitter list, okay, I'm going to put you in. Okay, one list here, and then I'm going to put you another one. But when you put people in a Twitter list that makes them feel good, straight away you're going to get on their radar. Straight away they're going to go, oh, she just put me on. I just put you on a list there, David. If you want to tell people what list I put you on. So he'll come back to us in a second. So I just put him on 2 Twitter lists, right? So David might go, oh, that tweeting goddess lady, Samantha, she just put me on a Twitter list. And then what's he going to do? He's going to have a nosy at me and see, who's she? Let me check her out. And the next thing he's looking at your profile. Next thing he's on your website. Next thing, you just don't know. So I use Twitter lists to build relationships with people that I want to have a cup of tea with someday. That's the way I think of it.
And thanks, Deb. Deb is, like I said, Deb is a machine here helping me out today in the studio audience, writing some of these. And then, of course, we have Natalie saying, yes, leverage Twitter list. So the thing that's great about Twitter Spaces, to a lot of people compared it. Remember at first it was, which is better, Clubhouse or Twitter Space?
They're still saying that. They're still saying that.
They're still saying. I would say it depends. They're different. What I like about Twitter Spaces, you're already connected with people on Twitter, and you've talked about this. You can grow your Twitter. If you go in a few Twitter Spaces, you will meet other cool
people you never ever would have had a conversation with or had a pint with. Honestly, people like NFT people. I'm like, I don't even know, but they're people I'd never have met. But yeah, the Twitter Spaces and Clubhouse, there is a big difference with the audience on Twitter Spaces, though. It is older. It's an older audience, I find, more established. Yeah.
I want to do a shout out. It was a previous guest, Mitch Jackson. I met thanks to
Yes.
Twitter too. Oh my God, he is okay. If you're not following Mitch Jackson, go follow because he is another machine when it comes to all things digital and metaverse and
He did a webinar for my Women's Inspire Network recently. Yeah,
oh, he
he's
is.
great.
I am such a big fan of his. He just is. Um, oh, let me see. David wrote. Very cool, Samantha. Checking out cool new 2022 and cool, interesting people. Yay. Yes. David's one of those, like I said, even when he talks about process, and that's why I suggest manufacturing companies want to work with, if you're creative, want to find creative solutions to process and how to bring about process without making it this massive, like difficult thing, he can come in. I mean, I always say simple, like things can be simple, but not easy. That's because we do overcomplicate. Okay, I overcomplicate at times. That's a habit I try
Humans,
to
look, business is easy. Humans complicated.
It's like parenting, everything. We complicate everything.
Yeah.
Now we do have a little bit of a question here. I was wondering about what let me see if I can go back to this.
You're going to ask me about Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know what? I have no opinion on that, honestly, because the amount of people that have asked me, the amount of media that have asked me, I just have no opinion on that. I mean, I'm not either way. And I'll tell you another thing. I'm not going to say anything negative about him because you just never know. He could know who I am and he might have me in mind as the next CEO.
There we go.
To do with Twitter. So you just don't know. You don't know.
I have a bit of an opinion, so I will, since I don't know. My main opinion is that whoever is on any social media platform, I am very much against censorship, full stop. So I am in favor of hearing different views, even views I don't agree with. So there, I've said it, I've put it out to the Twitter or put it to LinkedIn Live. I'm a recovering journalist. When I see, but what I do now is there's a reason I'm chief curiosity officer. And the reason I kind of wade in sometimes to these topics is because I do my research and I don't just read mainstream media. I look at, alternative media, and I look at all other social media. Even when I'm on TikTok, I rig it so that I get both views. Yeah. Because you can easily go down the rabbit hole of only, confirmation bias, where you only hear, and that can sometimes happen on Twitter. People you can get in that.
Oh yeah, clicks and stuff. Yeah.
I like hearing other views. So that's my only, whether it's Elon, whoever owns any platform, I want to see different views and then let me decide to curate. And so.
Exactly. Look, yeah, exactly. I just, and a good way, that's a good cop out, that line that I used. Well, I actually have no opinion on that. Some people think I have no opinion on anything. I do, but I just, in business, I just keep a lot of them to myself. However, I am very passionate about women in business and giving people a chance and the underdog. I love championing the underdog. Yeah. So I am passionate about, obviously, as well, for example, like I am 14 years sober. It's a huge part of my story. So I remember, for example, when I was doing a conference, we have a conference coming up. I don't know if I'm allowed to speak about that. I know we're running short.
Oh yeah, time, no, we're good. Oh my God, it's already
Yeah, I know.
So we'll start draft. So let's talk about the conference for sure. Talk about
that. Just to mention though, what was I saying before that? Oh, I can't remember. But just to be aware, like, we have a conference on the 5th of October, and it's our annual Women's Inspire Network conference. And obviously, during the pandemic, we haven't met up now in ages. So this is our 10th conference. So I'm really excited it's in Cork. But even if you're not in Cork, in Ireland, and you don't want to come in, now a few people are flying. One of my friends, Rosanna, who I met on Twitter Spaces, is flying in from Canada, from Toronto. So it's the 5th of October, and it's all about finding your niche and getting paid. But also it'll be virtual tickets. So if you want to join us virtually and be part of it, we'd love you to come. And it's in my pinned tweet. Or even if you don't want to come, and you could retweet it or share the event for me here on LinkedIn, I'd be very grateful. But yeah, like, I mean, people, they think I have no opinion, and, I just stay out and stay away from controversy. And I just feel it's really important, though, that, because I'm 14 years sober, because of the conference, I wanted sponsors. I needed sponsors, and a gin company was going to give me loads of money to sponsor the conference. I have to say no, because I'm sober. I can't have a gin company sponsor my conference, so, I have to kind of stick to my, stick to my thing as well,
And I agree. And I think though, I mean, that is a bit, that's having an opinion though. I think you do have, and like you said, it's like, um, yeah, and from my perspective, see, I was in my past life a much more vocal
Yeah,
about many things. So I've
yeah,
actually dialed things down a little bit, but I'm very passionate about certain things. Like I said, being curious, hearing different views. I'm That's one thing I'm very passionate about. We need to have that. So that's an opinion, but it's not like, I'm not saying really like, because I'm not taking a side per se, but the side I'm on is that, I guess having more diversity, I would say that. So there's certain things I am passionate about. So, but yeah, I think that is a very principled stand to do something like that. And I think that was
it was
probably
hard.
I can imagine. No thanks, get it. But it also says a lot about who you are, Samantha. So I thank you for sharing that. So we have up that your website, which you can find out about the event. We have where you're featured.
Do you know
here.
what? You can't. That I have to say, it's not on my website.
Oh,
I'll
not
be
yet.
honest. Full disclosure, I haven't actually got round. The lady who does my website hasn't got round to putting it on the website, but that's not her fault either.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's on
Yeah.
my pinned tweet. So
Okay.
Ticket Tailor. I'm using Ticket Tailor instead of Eventbrite this time. I'm going to try Ticket Tailor. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of it, but I'm finding it really nice to use. So I'm not affiliated with them or
Well,
anything.
maybe after this, you could drop it in the comments too, and then people here on
I will.
LinkedIn, if they're not
Yeah,
here, that'd be
thanks.
great. So, hey, I'm the same way. My website, those types of things don't end up on my website either. I always said it's good to have a website as a base, but in terms of updated current things, it's social
But you
media.
see, the thing is, right? There's two different brands going on as well. Like Women's Inspire Network, I started because I felt isolated working from home, and I wanted to learn as much as I could, and I wanted to build a global network, the biggest global network in the world. But then I didn't. I needed someone to back me and believe in me, and now We Do, which is a fintech app for freelancers. Indiana Gregg, I met her in Clubhouse. I ended up training her team, and then we ended up chatting. And now it's empowered by We Do. So they are behind me now. So now we are going to build the biggest global network in the world for women. And Natalie's actually our Win Circle leader in North Carolina. So yeah. So we're setting up circles all over the world. We've got one starting in Toronto, actually. I'll let you know. Yeah. Yeah.
We'll have to connect and learn. I'll have to get back.
You should join the Women's Inspire Network. Natalie's a member if anyone wants to find out about it. And so is Monica, actually. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Well, we'll drop that into about how to get involved with that.
Thanks.
And now, as we near the 1 hour mark, one of the questions, I know it goes so fast, but we the thing is, people can come and follow you and learn more. So now we've sort of given them the teaser now of who you are. They get to meet you, they get to see you, your cool accent. Now, and you might say, I'm the one with an accent, right?
Yeah, you see, your accent is exotic to me,
Yeah, it's all exotic. Oh, thank you. I have an exotic accent. So we usually wrap up the show with, how do you exercise your curious mind? How do you keep that kind of those things? What is it that gets you curious?
Well, what I do is I go into different rooms on Clubhouse or on Twitter Spaces, and I just meet different people and see what's going on. I also, I have to have an open mind, and because I'm in recovery as well, I try and have an open mind and try not to be judgmental, like you said, because I can't be. I've been there, done that, trust me. So I try and kind of just hear different perspectives and try not to judge and try to do the right thing. And, I'm not religious or anything, but I do feel that if people hadn't given me a chance, I wouldn't be where I am now, So I think it's really important to give people a chance. So I try and kind of see the good in people and, try not to judge straight away and try and give people a chance, and then if they're idiots, I don't want you in my circle.
That's great. I think that is a great way to have promote curiosity is, as you said, collector of nice people and people that you want to have in your circle. So, well, that is amazing. So we've covered your event. We've talked about Women Inspire Network. We've talked about the amazing aspects of Twitter Spaces. And if anyone is joining in now, you may want to go back and hear some of the earlier tips we gave, especially about making sure you get your bio updated, make sure you get your headshot. And I'm with you on that. I think investing in a good headshot, because that's your first impression. People are going to look at that. And talking about judgment, we do. We
Yeah,
will.
oh yeah, they will. They'll decide in a split second whether they're going to follow you or not. And it doesn't matter if, you've got a face for radio. Like it doesn't matter. That's not the point. It's about looking professional. So it's like sign up, suit up, show up. Like show up, like, and just being there, and people will get to know your face. They'll recognize you, and they'll recognize it straight away. It's like your brand, your personal
Right.
brand.
It is. And my 3 steps where I talk about sign up is all about mindset. You have to first, have that growth mindset. Suiting up is getting prepared, getting ready. So it's, finding the photographer, booking the appointment, getting it done, and then showing up. That's really important. And yeah, and I also do keynote talks exactly on that topic, especially in manufacturing. So it's about how to get people in manufacturing to sign up, suit up, and show up, because that's where you're going to make a difference. And and it's not only, obviously the end goal is to get more business, but you first have to build those relationships, because if you go out and, the term we often say is pitch slap, you do not want to pitch slap people. You want to, build relationships, and then that will lead to
And
business.
become known as the expert in your niche.
Mhm.
I already know manufacturing Gail, it's like, that it's about finding that niche and finding your people, but finding that niche where you shine. Like I was talking to someone during the week, and they were saying, oh, they want this, but they also want a bit of website. I think I think I might be able to do that. And I was like, no, stick with the stuff that you're brilliant at and outsource the stuff that you're not so good at. That's what I do.
Now, Deb had to sign off, but I think this is a good way to end as well, where she said she had to pop off for virtual coffee. One of the main things I do, take my Twitter relationships from the feed into one-to-one. No sales, just deepening the relationship.
Yeah, take them offline to Zoom or email.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then ideally, you can even meet in person one day, which I've started. David Chrysler, I've met in person. So there's a few people now, sort of as I'm out and about, going to meet people. I'm going to meet you one day.
Yes, you will. That will happen. You never know. We might end up doing a conference in Toronto. Like this is the lovely thing about We Do coming on board. It gives me much more. Some of those things I wanted to do, I can do now. I have the bandwidth to do. I have the power behind me, a team behind me. It's not just me anymore, and it's so important to get good people around you. But Gail, like really what you're doing is great, and well done. And thank you so much for asking me to come today and speak.
Well, thank you. It's been wonderful having you. And I think we've got some people ready to rock even more on Twitter. So I'm going to have you go into the green room. I'll be back in just a couple minutes. I'm just going to do my sign off.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Monica. Thanks, everybody.
Wow. What a day it has been today with Samantha Kelly. As I said, meeting her online a couple of years ago, and then now having, to spend this time with her and hear her insights, because Twitter is amazing. It is about building and deepening those relationships. I was recently a keynote speaker at Women in Aerospace, where I talked about that sign up, suit up, and show up, and how it's showing up is not just for our own selves and our own business. It's also, we have a duty to show up for others. We have a duty to show up and share this information, share our knowledge. And I know Samantha with her Women's Inspire Network, it's also to show other women and girls about how important it is to show up. I was recently at an event, did a TikTok with these girls, and they were all ready to do it until I started, turned on the actual video, and they all kind of scattered. They didn't want to show up, and I had a little chat with them and kind of got them finally on board again. But that said a lot to me about why we need to do a lot more work about showing up and the power that comes, because that TikTok video is so vital to getting their word out about girls in STEM and girls in robotics. So thanks everyone for showing up today. And again, I help manufacturers both tell and share their story. I also give keynote talks in this area. I come in and give a motivational talk about how you can use these skills to basically build relationships and tell your story, which will lead to business long-term. Thanks everyone. Again, I'll see you next week. We have more great guests coming up, so stay tuned. And Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every week at Wednesday, the show will be on here. Okay. And we'll see you next week.